clock itself, it functioned okay, but it also had a slight problem. As you can see, we only have one hand. So when it wasn't on the hour, then they had to do a little guesswork. It wasn't so accurate back in those days. Now, around 50 years later, they started to make clocks that we call shield clocks. Clocks with painted faces, like this one here. These were much more accurate because they have two hands, they have a chime, they have a pendulum, and they had two weights. This is also how the very first cuckoo clock looked. On the half hour, one cuckoo, and then on the hour, tells you the time. After this, the cuckoo clock making became much more adventurous, if you like. This one here, an early one, is called a train station clock. It was made back then for the railway train stations. This represents the train tracks on here. And then they went on, of course, to make the clocks as most people know them, with animals on them. First of all, they had dead animals hanging on the clocks, like on this one here, traditional hunter's clock. Around 20 years later, people started to complain. They didn't like having dead animals on their clocks, and so the craftsman would then turn them around and make it look like live animals on the clocks. Now, the clock itself, you have the house, the frame goes on. This is basswood that they use, very soft wood, and then you have the clock piece, also very simple. Yeah? They use basswood because it's a soft wood, because once it's dry, after 4 years, it's then easy to carve. Yeah? Inside the clocks, we have 4 different types of mechanism. We have a 1-day mechanism for clocks that you have to wind every day. This one here. This one would have small weights. Then we have an 8-day mechanism, like this one here, and this one would have large weights. An 8-day mechanism, then you wind the clock once a week. These two here, a 1 and an 8-day, these would have the music box inside, and when it has a music box, then they have 3 weights. This one and this one has 2 weights. So, the music box is the only part of the cuckoo clock which we don't make in Germany. Music boxes are made in the French part of Switzerland, a place called Neuchâtel. Now, if I turn this, you can't really hear the music. That's because the music box needs wood to amplify the music.
Yeah.
Although no wood, no good. Then, of course, we have the cuckoo. Now, we don't use a real bird because they fly away when the door opens. So, we have 2 bellows inside the clock, so 2 whistles, very simple. Slightly different tones on them. The larger these are, the deeper the cuckoo sound becomes. Yeah, larger the clock, the deeper the cuckoo. And when it's put together, then you can see inside how it looks. Yeah, we have the bellows on the one side, the music box on the other side, dance figures at the top. Now, some very famous clocks that we have here. Starting with this one, this is known as the Knödelfresser. In English it means the dumpling eater. A very, very famous German clock. Every half an hour he starts to eat his dumplings. Then we have what's known as the mother-in-law clock. Again, a very famous clock. Every half an hour he will encourage him to work. Now I'll explain a little bit about the tax in this store. You'll find that the prices in this store, they include the tax. If you decide you would like to buy something here and you're spending over €50, you will get a check given to you which you can cash in at the airport. It's called a tax check. Yeah? You cash it in at the airport before you go home, you get around 8 to 10% back from the price. You'll find over this side of the shop, all the clocks here are mechanical cuckoo clocks. Okay? Over this side, behind you here, these ones are all battery operated cuckoo clocks. All clocks come with a 2-year guarantee. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you have a pleasant stay.